Welcome. Thank you all very much for joining us today. We'll get started. I'll give it a second to make sure everybody piles in. My name's Grant Asplund. With me is Gustavo Cornell, and he'll be getting into the deep stuff. I'm gonna take you on the high level stuff to make it easy. So thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I want to start off with a little bit of food for thought. Okay, this is just something to think about. Everybody says it. Everybody knows that the world is not all one cloud. And so we'll come back to this a little bit later on. But these are, I think, some pretty remarkable stats. So what we're going to cover today, first, please use the Q&A for any questions that you have anytime you have them, and we'll do our very best to get to them certainly before the close. We're going to have some polls because we're interested in hearing from you, and we really value your feedback and comments. So please participate, throw us your comments. We really, really appreciate hearing from you. So I'm going to have an introduction. We're going to go through the best practices at a very high level, trying to have a little bit of fun with you as well. And then we're going to move into the power of two. And this is where Gus is going to take over, as well as covering the top considerations that you really need to look at when you're looking at cloud security, and specifically cloud network security. And then we'll look at some cool new stuff and some call to actions for you. And of course, as I mentioned, ask any questions that you may have throughout, and we'll just go ahead and we're going to get started. So, whoop, my bad, missed the click. So this is us. I'm Grant. Gus will be up shortly. And we'll just pass on with that. So I suspect most all of you know Checkpoint. And if you don't, I'll just tell you at a very high level, nearly 3 decades of cybersecurity leadership, long before we called it cybersecurity. You know, it was really about securing the internet as it first came on and was getting used. We've been on the market since 96. I think the employee count has increased quite significantly over the 5,200 that you see displayed here, but literally hundreds of thousands of customers all around the world, growing every day, and a very broad and comprehensive product portfolio and architecture, one that in fact spans more than 80 products, from your network to all things cloud, to the access and the user wherever he or she may be. Now, you're always going to have a vendor like us tell you how terrific we are. But what I'm very proud of is that it's not just us saying how great we are, but we've really been recognized very widely by the industry, literally across our entire portfolio, be it on-premise, endpoint, or cloud-based solutions. And you just have to look to the experts, be they analysts or research firms, or even testing organizations that are actually going through and comparing products. You'll see we continuously and constantly achieve great marks. Now, it's funny, I was talking just the other day about how when I first got into cloud security, that's what it was called, cloud security. And there really wasn't any further stratification of the landscape, if you will. And that was only a few years ago. And today, now, it's really remarkable how it has expanded so broadly and consists of so much more than just cloud security. And in fact, now we really see the way you should be looking at and approaching, this is according to all the analysts and experts, the foundational first step has to be network security. It has to be that same fundamental premise, right? If you want to go way back, remember we put a moat around our castle. I mean, it's a very similar logic in terms that first layer has to be cloud network security, but you'll see that it's expanded quite extensively. And now today, we've got posture management, we've got workload protection, APIs. It's really expanded. And I'm happy to say thanks and welcome, Gus. It's good to see you're with us. So when you look at the way this space is defined, you'll notice that delineation between prevention and detection. And I just want to stress out that if you know Checkpoint, and even if you don't, I can guarantee you, we have a fundamental premise about how we look at security, and it's about stopping it before it's not about detection. I can't outrun memory or a microprocessor, and I don't know anyone that can. And this is fundamentally key. And everything we do is about prevention. And we have a key component, if you will, in each of the layers that you see displayed in this pyramid. So when you look at what's happened with the cloud, I mean, I wrote an article not too long ago was saying, that the cloud keeps expanding and keeps getting smaller. And what I meant by that was that where before it was just kind of cloud security, we've gotten so many different kinds of cloud, and it's literally become the key foundation for just about everyone's security architecture and strategy. I do a podcast talking cloud, selfless plug. But one of the things that I say is that, everything involves cloud. And it's because it has so many compelling benefits. It's elasticity, the agility that you can realize, the fact that the ephemeral aspects, they're just so powerful. And what we're starting to see is we're seeing it's almost like where a river meets the ocean, the mixing of the bar, where we're going from kind of cloud to what's called cloud native. And this is where it's really a game changer. Identity is going to be a critical control. Everything's going to have an identity. We have to look now in the same way that we have to, when we think about driving, and we have to look at one plane to stay secure, but flying, we have to look 360 degrees. That's really the same way we have to look about security in the cloud versus the old way on premise. And all of these are critical considerations, not to mention the fact that there are so many that are coming into the market, really just further identifying and highlighting the fact that it is going to be the standard. It's the way we're all going to compute because it just makes so much sense. So is my poll master online?
Your poll master is very much online. Can you guys hear me?
I hear you now. Yes, I do. So we've got a poll. I'm going to hand it over to the poll master to take it away here.
Okay, so let me launch this. I actually haven't done this for a little while. I apologize. And I'm hoping, okay, if it's up, that's good. So let me walk you through the poll. Question number one is, what is your level of experience with the cloud? So possible answer number one is, I have no experience. Answer two, I have some experience. I know the basics. Answer three, which looks like it's in the lead at the moment, is I know a fair amount, but I'm not an expert. Answer four is I'm a cloud expert, but I don't know CloudGuard well. And answer number five, I'm a cloud expert and I do know CloudGuard well. So I'm going to leave it up for another couple of seconds. It looks like we have most of the people on the call are I have some experience or I know a fair amount, but we don't have any cloud experts. Which is probably, I would put myself in the I have some experience, I know the basics part of that. So I'm going to end the poll and hand it back over to Grant, although I think that Grant's going to be handing over now to Gus, right?
Nope, not yet. We get to have a little story time first. So thank you there, poll master Jonathan. Here are the results. You can see A fair amount, but not an expert. Well, terrific. Well, I'll move fairly quickly. It looks like we're fairly evenly split. I'm going to move quickly through this story time. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that we're standing or sitting behind Zoom screens so much. We're trying to make it a little bit more enjoyable. And so we've got a little bit of story time for you. When looking at if we took this to story time, what could we learn from some of the fables we've heard? And certainly a key component is you have to have the right infrastructure. You have to have the right plan to put together and really bolster your security. This is absolutely a key foundation from the beginning. You need to architect the right solution. That we all, I think, know. And the thing that I stressed already earlier is it's about prevention. It really is about prevention. And so that has to be the design and how you build your solution and architecture. Three Little Pigs also taught us that it's an onion, right? It's layer upon layer upon layer. We have to understand and appreciate today in this world where we're all carrying around supercomputers and everything's connected. It's absolutely critical to keep everything protected at all times. I always say people don't really care about the pictures on my phone. What they care about is what it's connected to. So, the fundamental starting point, right? We all know this, is you have to be able to have complete and total visibility. And this is, again, across your entire environment. And this can be challenging even more when you, at the end of the day, that multi-cloud presents a challenge, but the multi-cloud visibility and then trying to make sense and harmonize all that you're seeing can be really difficult. And the ephemeral and elastic aspects of the cloud further make it a challenge, but it's absolutely the starting point for any security strategy, cloud included. This is something that, certainly the whole supply chain and the fact that, the companies we subscribe to provide us patches are delivering ransomware. We have to absolutely look at the world differently and expect the unexpected. We cannot, and this is really hard. I think it's a challenge to approach and look at a situation in the way that the bad guy would exploit it. I know for me, that's difficult. That's a unique skill, but it's absolutely critical. And we have to really kind of go into it saying not if, but when, and then subsequently having minimize the blast radius, maximize the ability to respond, the resiliency that you build into the organization. I kind of inferred to this earlier, but when we shift completely as we're rapidly moving to this world where identities are everything and everything will have identities, we have to architect to a zero trust. We just absolutely must. And this is going to be essentially or especially essential for all of the non-human components that are going to be in our policies, in our architectures, and in our networks. And listen, if you think you're going to be able to continue to use all of the things you've used, this number now 82%, the survey the year previous, it was 67%. And so the point is, as we've gotten more into the cloud, we've absolutely seen and realized that you cannot use the old tools. They have to be built for this new dynamic, ephemeral environment. Lots are changing, lots happening. When you look at the lifespan of something like containers, Kubernetes, and how long it's been on the planet, let alone how long it's been in use, and the number of companies using it, the pace, the scale, unbelievable. And that's what's happening. And we're seeing a lot of new changes happening with functions as a service, with everything is going to be as a service. and we just have to be prepared to shift and understand the impact that these changes are having. And certainly the world is moving to a world of securing APIs pretty rapidly, and this also has to be a part of your strategy. Today, I just saw a headline last week, and I thought it was awesome. It said, today's best practice is vendor consolidation. And I think if you look, a number of analysts firms, a number of research firms have been pointing to that, because we just cannot build the kind of harmonized, unified, threat intelligence sharing security stack when we pick 50, 60, 30, 20 different vendor solutions and then try to get them all to work together. And we've got clear ROI that can demonstrate there's significant cost savings. Your total cost of ownership will plummet because you can get economies of scale just unachievable when you're using all these disparate and multiple products. So now don't go to sleep, please. I know that was story time. I'm going to hand it back over to my poll master, Jonathan, for our next poll.
Yeah, I think recently the recent phrase is poll person, but poll number 2 from the poll person is actually, this is one of the most important calls to action that Gustavo is going to be explaining to us towards the end of the webinar, is that Check Point is offering fantastic local, and I emphasize local because this is going to be Canada only, 3-hour deep dive workshops using AWS and Azure Marketplace. So if you're using AWS or using Azure, we will help to walk you through deploying Cloud Guard Network Security. You could trial it on your own network using the marketplaces, and we will give you this 3-hour deep dive technical workshop, configurations, all these wonderful things. What do you think? So answer number 1, we don't have Cloud Guard Network Security yet. And let me just see if I can make this a little bit longer. I will join or highly recommend my colleagues to join. So, you know, that's a good idea. We'll give you the links in the follow-up email that we'll send you, and you can pass it on to your colleagues, because, you know, not everybody has the capabilities to do a 3-hour deep dive AWS or Azure technical workshop. Answer 2, my organization does not use AWS or Azure. Please arrange a workshop for another public cloud like Oracle, Alibaba, Google. I'm not sure if there's anybody on the call that has Huawei or Tencent. Answer 3, my organization doesn't use AWS or Azure. Please arrange a workshop for VMware, Cisco, ACI, OpenStack, or another private cloud. Answer 4, my organization uses AWS or Azure, but is also interested in other public or private webinars or workshops. So, you know, that's multi-cloud. And answer 5, my organization already has Cloud Guard Network Security deployed and is interested in other Cloud Guard capability workshops. So I'm going to leave that open for another couple of seconds. Hopefully you can see the questions and the answers are a little bit long. Apologies for that. And I'm going to close it off. We've got lots of interesting answers here and display the results. The results are that most people don't, on the call, 2/3 of the people that are answered don't have Cloud Guard Network Security and will join or highly recommend their colleagues to join. Cool. And thank you for that.
Outstanding. Okay, now on to the good part. I'm excited and thrilled to stop sharing at this slide, and I'm going to hand it over to Gus, and he's going to pick up at this point. I want to thank you all very much for putting up with my story time, and over to you, Gus.
Works a little better if I'm not on mute. And let me go ahead and do this and do this. And can everybody see my screen, which reads the power of 2? One of the questions that we normally get asked over and over again is, what is it that gets added by CloudGuard to the normal security that's part of the cloud providers? The cloud providers have excellent security tools. They have a lot of them. And we see the cloud provider security as a starting point. And to illustrate that example, I created some diagrams. For example, these are some of the security offerings that are part of AWS. They have their security groups, they have the NACLs, they have a very powerful WAF. They have a managed firewall service that can do not only firewall, but also IDS, IPS, in pretty much all protocols, and can do basic URL domain filtering. They have a great Macy in-place DLP capability. They have NAT gateways that do pretty serviceable outbound NAT. And of course, they have the packet and capture mirroring capability for everything that is part of their system. But what happens when we add something like CloudGuard? All of a sudden, a whole range of additional possibilities pop up, including things that the AWS services don't provide today, or ways to extend the built-in security that AWS is already giving us. Things like double bidirectional NAT, the SNAT and DNAT, the ability to import IOCs, full payload analysis of AV malware, including zero-day detection, the capability to use tags to do logical access control. So there is a number of additional things and additional threat vectors that we can block, access capabilities that we can control, threat analysis that we can do by adding the CloudGuard on top of the security that is already offered by a cloud provider like AWS. Same thing when we look at Azure. Azure has a premium firewall that can do a lot of things. It's quite a bit of number of things that they can do. They have application security groups on top of that. They have their app gateway. They have the capability to do decrypt and forward, SSL offloading. So they have a pretty extensive toolkit of security, but they have not been doing security for 20 plus years like Checkpoint does. So when you add CloudGuard to an Azure deployment, you automatically get all the extra things. And again, we're talking about payload analysis, zero-day protection. We can go a lot more complex in Azure tags than they can do. So again, it's not about replacing. It's not about this is better than this. It is about combining the powerful tools that both the provider and the Checkpoint gives you in order to multiply the security of your cloud and be able to block or have additional visibility into a number of attack vectors that a single provider deployment would not be able to give you. Okay, I'm going to go and talk about some considerations when evaluating a network security solution. I could go and I was planning to have separate slides for these, but I think I'm going to jump on those and go to some of the new and cool things that are available for CloudGuard. But I did want to pause real quick on some of the things that are important when you're reviewing a cloud-based solution. The ability to have the granular inspection and control, the ability to do advanced threat prevention and deep security, which is, of course, one of the things that we add on top of the cloud security provider. The fact that you can go beyond cloud. One of the powerful things, of course, is being able to manage your local on-prem networks, your regional networks that exist in the physical world, in addition to all your clouds, whether that's a single cloud or multiple vendor clouds. Some people we have that have deployments in AWS and Azure and Google, and be able to have a consistent security that spans all those clouds. Being able to be fully scalable and provide secure remote access that can be scalable as well. Reducing total cost of ownership. And one of the things that the people realize fairly quickly when they start counting or looking at their provider bills is that adding CloudGuard to the cloud provider security doesn't necessarily come with added cost. In some cases, we are less costly, and I would say actually more than in some cases. In the majority of cases, we're actually less costly than the comparable tools that may be offered by the cloud provider. Your tool has to be able to support automation. Automation and orchestration in the cloud is key. being able to deploy multiple servers, reclassify hosts, move or destroy environments and recreate new environments. To be able to do this in minutes requires orchestration and automation of your deployments, and having a solution that can totally integrate with orchestrator tools that supports APIs that allow you to configure management and enforcement points by basically scripts or some sort of code becomes not only a great convenience, but at sometimes indispensable when you're moving to the cloud. Integration and ease of use, of course, it's there. The tools that are part of the native cloud providers are in many cases a little bit primitive. Again, they've been doing security for maybe a couple of years. When you look at the Checkpoint Cloud Guard toolset, what you can do with Smart Console, cut and paste, move objects around the policy, no limits in the number of rules that you can create. All those things translate beautifully to the cloud and are miles usually ahead in integration and ease of use when compared to some of the provider tools. We give you full visibility, and the visibility includes not only the packets that are part of the network, but we, of course, add solutions that allow you to look at the control plane as well. We have been in the industry for many, many years, and I believe that is a huge plus point. The fact that we've been a Gartner leader in our industry for pretty much every single release of Gartner in the last 20 plus years is a testament to a security provider. And finally, we have the ability to do context-aware security management, which includes many things. We are able to enforce and deploy access control and threat prevention that is dependent on what we see in the cloud, what we see on-prem, and we can combine all these things. We can use Active Directory servers that are located on-prem to grant access to people in multiple clouds. We can use tagging in multiple cloud providers, such as Google, Azure, and AWS, and allow access to resources that are tagged on-prem in a particular way. And all these capabilities cross boundaries and we're able to enforce and retain the information that we learned from all these environments and correctly enforce them in other environments that you may be in. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about certain things that are new with Checkpoint, things that are happening recently. So you have an idea of the type of things that are available out there. One of the things that just got announced at Microsoft Ignite is a new gateway load balancer for external scanning of internet traffic that goes into your cloud. What that means is under the old tool system, whenever you went through a load balancer inbound from the internet into an Azure deployment, for example, source NAT needed to be done. So you would lose the capability to see the original client that is out there on the internet that is coming in. Checkpoint supported some ways around that by using clusters. But the whole idea of the cloud, of course, is to have full capability and load balancing for scalability. So Azure has just announced a new gateway load balancer, which allows sort of like a sideway or horizontal connection to a scale set, to a set of auto scaling or fixed scaling checkpoints, and transparently applies the checkpoint security as the packets come in from the internet and traverse that new load balancer type. So as far as a network designer is concerned, all they have to do is throw a regular standard Azure load balancer. And because of that sideways connectivity to the checkpoint system, the Azure load balancer inherits all the security scanning capabilities of the checkpoint because that packet will then come in, move laterally sideways for the inspection, come back in, and then move on to whatever the final destination happens to be. This allows preservation of the original IP. And it sort of like supercharges the gateway, the load balancer that is part of the regular Microsoft offering. This sort of integration and the fact that we are available, or this capability is available to us at the introduction, because this system got announced basically 2 days ago as part of Ignite, and we are already enrolling people that want to preview the system. Same thing when the gateway load balancer was announced for AWS about a year ago. They actually used the checkpoint on the demo during the AWS demonstration, because we're closely working with cloud providers at all times to make sure that every new feature and functionality that they have is fully integrated with our security solutions. One of the nice things about this solution that's also been just announced is that a single checkpoint scale set, or a single checkpoint auto scaling group, can receive information not just from one external load balancer, but from multiple ones. And I believe on the preview, those load balancers don't even have to be in the same region, and they're able to forward to that system. So you can aggregate from a single checkpoint load balancer traffic that is being received by a multitude of external gateway load balancers on the Azure side.
Gus,
Yes.
you hear that there's a zoom bar at the bottom of your screen? If you could just hide that.
Oh, this one. Okay. So yeah. I thought I was the only one saying that. My bad.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the new things and functionalities that are part of 81. And I saw that there's a big chunk of people in attendance that are already using a checkpoint, so they might be familiar with some of these improvements. But I just want to sort of like go over them again, just a smattering, so you can see some of the things that are available in the newest versions of the CloudGuard implementation. First of all, we have new automated profiles for threat prevention. What that means is we analyze each and every system based on the traffic that is coming in, and we can build and recommend up-to-date threat prevention analysis. You can leave those defaults and automatically take advantage of the latest and greatest profiles and our interpretation of how to best protect the traffic that we're seeing, or you can customize those templates and suggestions to your liking. If you are using Smart Event, and Smart Event can be used with our cloud systems as well as with on-prem systems, actually you'll find out that pretty much all of our solutions can be implemented in the cloud, whether that is Smart Event, whether that is the manager itself, whether it's standalone log servers, whether it's multi-domain managers and their backups. And from the cloud implementation, you can use those systems pretty much however you want. We have customers that have a primary manager in AWS, a backup manager in Azure, and they can manage all their cloud systems plus their on-prem systems from either one of these managers. But we were talking about Smart Event. One of the views that Smart Events has added is the ability to display the critical events that it sees over a MITRE ATT&CK grid or view. So that way, not only do you know the actual hits that you're getting, or events, or warnings, you get them fully classified, so you immediately see where they fall on the regular MITRE ATT&CK view. So that's something that's new and very popular. We have a web version of the Smart Console. This is something that has been asked for us for many, many years. The main reason we did not release this initially is because usually web-based systems, when used for managing security, are a way to introduce vulnerabilities into the system. And year after year, all these years, we've been seeing Checkpoint have maybe 6 vulnerabilities discovered in a year, where I think the vendor in second place has over 30, and a couple of them have over 100. And the great number of the vulnerabilities discovered on these security systems was tied to the web interface used for management. So we took our time. We took our time and made sure that the web interface would be fully protected, but we do have an integration now and are able to come in to the Smart Console via web. And we allow only the things and the functionality via the web in a way that doesn't compromise the security of our management system. Some of the other improvements that got added is the ability to license the gateways from the Smart Console itself. We have, we have an added capability in the cloud, which is a central automated licensing system. And what this means is that you can attach your cloud licenses to the manager itself, whether the manager is on-prem or whether the manager is on the cloud, does not matter. And the nice thing is that whenever there's a brand new checkpoint gateway, a CloudGuard gateway that is deployed in the cloud, whether it's deployed automatically as part of a auto-scaling set, whether it's manually introduced by a system or by an orchestrator, the checkpoint manager will see it. And when it pushes policy to it, it will check and see whether it's licensed already or not. If it's not licensed and it has licenses on its pool, on its internal pool to cover that new system, it will automatically license those gateways for you. It will automatically do licenses renewals for you, as long, again, as the license renewals are stored in the management server. So you don't have to care about gateways being created or gateways being deleted. You don't have to care about your orchestrator deploying gateways. As long as you have the central licensing tool and as long as you have the right number of license or virtual CPU licenses on your checkpoint manager will basically take that licensing task away from you. You don't have to worry about it. You can still license manually if you so want, but with a very dynamic environment like the cloud, the central licensing tool is what we normally recommend for everyone to use. And it includes reports. At any time, you can run a report on the central licensing tool, and it will tell you how many gateways you have, how many licenses you're using for those gateways, how many licenses you have free or available for additional systems. So whenever you're calculating your renewal, you can very quickly know what your license usage is, whether you're need more licenses, whether you need less. It's very easy. One of the wonderful things that was introduced on the R81 train is acceleration for policy installs. Whenever you install a policy, there's always a time for the policy to be installed. And one of the most frequent requests for us was, how can we reduce this time? I don't have to wait 3 minutes for a policy to be installed. I don't want to wait 2 minutes for a policy to be installed. I want a policy to be installed as fast as possible. So we added acceleration features and functionality into the R81 code. So you will see license installation happening faster and faster as our versions improve. One of the things that also got built into the R81 release is the ability to basically select a gateway from Smart Console and just select an upgrade action to be performed on it. A full warning, this is not fully enabled on the cloud today. It is on the short-term roadmap, and we're expecting it pretty soon. But it is already part of R81. So it's basically, we're just supporting a capability that already exists for the on-prem systems, and you will be seeing it in the cloud very, very soon. Most of the cloud systems are usually destroyed and redeployed, especially if they're scale sets. There's no need to actually do a version upgrade. You just basically tell the scale set to deploy brand new systems that are already upgraded, and then just get rid of the old ones. But if it's something that's more static, like single gateways, like clusters, and you need to do a version upgrade without destroying or recreating, R81 is going to make this a lot easier for you. And I believe this is the final slide for R81, and that is, we have a brand new reporting on changes that are done. So if you're modifying your rule basis, if you're making changes to objects, if you're making changes to rules, if you're making changes to either access control, threat preventions, or to the objects themselves, we keep full track of everything that is going on. We allow you to comment each and every change if you want documentation associated with them. We allow you to do full reports on everything that has changed and everything that has been edited, destroyed, or added. And this additional capability, again, is miles beyond what the normal change report is normally given to you by even our older versions, which do allow a great bit of reporting. But we're miles ahead of anything that most cloud providers give you on their built-in tools. I also want to mention the fact of what is it like if you already have Checkpoint deployed on premises, and I saw that a number of you do. And the wonderful thing is that extending your existing infrastructure for protection into the cloud is the easiest thing in the world. It's a no-brainer. It is basically the same code that you're running on-prem on physical appliances. It's actually running on VMs in the cloud. Which means minimal training. You don't have to learn new interfaces. You don't have to learn new troubleshooting techniques. It's as easy as just deploying the exact same versions of the code that you're familiar with on the cloud system. Automation and the support for automation makes it extremely easy. So not only can you deploy systems, you can deploy them in the cloud automatically. So you don't have to rack mount something into a physical system into a rack and cable it. You can just deploy from the marketplace via scripting, and pretty much everything gets deployed for you. But the manager sees it just exactly like it would see a regular physical system. So you just get all the benefits from the cloud along with the user interface and management that you already know. Lowest risk is another one of the reasons that I listed here, because it is a known solution. You already know the product, you know how to configure it. And a recent cloud assessment of vulnerabilities in the cloud noted that 58%, over half of the issues and problems with cloud deployments, is because of misconfigurations or unfamiliarity with the way cloud protects systems. So having all the traffic that flows into your cloud objects go through a checkpoint inspection, whether it's traffic coming in from the internet, what is traffic going between your on-prem and the cloud, what is the traffic that's moving from one side of the cloud to another, means lowered risk, because you already have your pre-built security policies that can be enforced in the cloud. You already know the system, you know how the system works. So again, it's almost a transparent implementation. And finally, the lowest cost of ownership. You're not only leveraging the infrastructure, the management infrastructure, the log infrastructure that you may already have and exist and can use in conjunction with the new deployments in the cloud. Not only do you have less training involved, because again, you're deploying things they're familiar with. In many cases, you're going to see that the actual cost of the cloud implementation of the systems is actually, in many cases, less than equivalent solutions from the provider that do a little bit less than what we can do. In summary, we talked about best practices for cloud security, and we saw the fairy tale version of that, as well as some summaries of what the cloud industry looks like today, and why it's important to add a reliable security solution to complement what you have in the cloud today. We briefly touch in the top 10 considerations of the type of things that you would like to see on that cloud solution. We saw also reasons why it's a good idea to just extend the security you have on-prem into multiple clouds. Again, consistency, lower training, familiarity with the product, and low TCO. So we strongly recommend that you take advantage of our knowledge and experience. I am a cloud architect for Checkpoint. My function is to help people come into the cloud, whether it is answering questions about solutions that you want to deploy in the cloud, whether it is working with your own engineers or your own AWS engineers or points of contact, or Azure engineers and points of contact. I do whiteboarding for companies that are coming into the cloud. There is no added charge for my services. All you need to do is schedule me, and I can work with your engineers or with the cloud engineers that represent you, or with value-added resellers that are helping you come into the cloud. So by all means, take advantage of our knowledge. I can show you blueprints, most common ways to implement. I can answer technical questions, and I have done many times a step-by-step on-screen sharing deployment for the first time of our systems, which includes our deep technical dives. If you register for a deep technical dives and you are implementing something in AWS, we will go through the marketplace deployment. You will see the type of templates that we use, the most common ways that we normally deploy. You'll have the ability to ask questions as we basically go through these things. And I was getting ahead of myself. Here it is. Again, we have the technical workshops. There will be about a 3-hour deep dive into deploying our solution in the cloud. We will have one version for Azure. We will have one version for AWS. You will have free licenses for the checkpoint systems during the deployment. We, in many cases, offer an environment that you can use if you do not have a cloud account, or you can practice on your own cloud accounts. All this is part of this. We will be touching on best practices. We will be showing you tips and tricks, and you will be able to ask questions during this implementation to your heart's content. We also recommend that you download materials from our website, from our support pages. You will be getting copies of this presentation. You will be getting copies of these links as well. I just want to make sure that you know that there is a wealth of information available for you regarding cloud, and we will be giving you some links of things that you can bring down to study and learn what's new up there. We also have economic studies. Forrester did an economic study for us showing an incredible ROI return for deploying CloudGuard in particular networks. You will be able to read the report, and you will see the advantages of having the single point of management, the single pane of glass to do both on-prem and cloud. You will see the added security that we add to the cloud. You will see how easy it is for us to basically push policy to cloud systems and improve security because of that ease of use. And you'll see examples of automation and cost savings because of that. So I guess we're going to go ahead and open it for QA. So just let us know anything, any questions that you have about things that we've already presented, or any comments. I believe that we're open to that right now.
One thing I wanted to throw in, December 1st is the Azure workshop. December 8th is the AWS workshop. And Gus, that was outstanding. I loved all the details, especially the new load balancer info from Azure. That's very cool.
Okay. So we had a question on the bridge about GCP.
GCP, even though we did not touch on GCP today, it is fully supported. You can manage our solution in GCP just like you can manage it in AWS and Azure. Same thing with Oracle, same thing with AliCloud. The gateways, again, are just virtual versions of our systems, same operating system, same troubleshooting steps, same software, same blades.
And I think an additional part of that question could be, what about a workshop for GCP? So I'm going to guess on behalf of Terry, is that if you reach out to Terry, I'm sure Terry would be very happy to set you up with a time with a cloud security expert who can walk you through the deployment process, through the marketplace, and help you get up and running with a trial from us. We can find out from GCP about whether they'll provide some what's the word some money to some credits. So and just by the way, this is a good time. Good, exactly, credits. I was tongue-tied, but this is a good time to maybe tell you about the credits for the workshop. Every customer joining the Azure workshop will get $2,000 in Azure credits from Checkpoint and obviously from Microsoft. Actually, it's from Microsoft via Checkpoint, and every customer joining an AWS workshop will get $300 in AWS credits. And so please reach out to Terry, speak to him, and he'll set you up with a GCP special training session and hands-on session.
Happy to set up the GCP sessions. Just let me know.
Of course, the credits are sort of like Disney dollars. They're only can only be spent on the particular cloud that they're for, but they're always nice to have. Yeah.
Disney dollars. So and just another thing before I forget, for the call, we will be following up after the call to provide you with a copy of the slides, a copy of a recording to this webinar, plus all of the relevant links that we provided during the presentation, including the registration links for the workshops. So please feel free to pass that on to your, the links, of course, to the workshops. Pass those on to your colleagues, family, friends, cousins, neighbors, anybody you think can benefit. Again, this is a 3-hour deep dive technical workshop, so it's relevant only for those people who have access to AWS or Azure cloud environments. But again, there are lots of benefits. It's very hands-on. It's not like a 1-hour webinar like this one. It's a very deep dive and an expert level. Well, I wouldn't say expert level, but at least expert level for people that are in the cloud. And they'll learn how to deploy all the stuff that we can do, and you'll get it from our experts as well. I think Gus, you're going to be running that, right?
Yes.
Okay,
By the way, I very quickly want to apologize for having the sharing bar at the bottom of my screen. It was hiding the most entertaining parts of the presentation. So thanks for letting me know that was happening.
no problem. I think I tried to mention it before, but I was on mute. I didn't realize. So apologies to everybody out there.
Great job, Gus. I thought that was outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining, but I really thought that was a great presentation.
Yeah, so again, great presentation. Thank you, Grant and Gus. Please reach out to us if there's anything that we can help you with. Of course, these webinars would not be nearly as valuable. In fact, they would be useless if we didn't have you all on the line. And please tell us how we can do better, how we can provide you more interesting content, more valuable, more relevant content. Please reach out to us. And again, hats off to the Canada team. It's the first region in the Americas to run these webinars in these workshops. So well done to you guys. Congratulations. And we look forward to seeing you all soon in the near future. Grant and Gus, thank you guys. And over to you to final words from your side.
Well, I just again want to thank you all for attending. Really thought it was terrific. Please take advantage of these workshops. I mean, obviously it was just displayed. Gus is a brilliant engineer that is a terrific resource. You want to take advantage of it. AWS on the 8th of December, Azure on December 1st. So Gus, over to you for the closing remarks. Great job.
Thank you. I want to tell everybody I am a better engineer than I'm a presenter. So by all means, please join the workshops if you have the time. If only to ask questions and have some basic hands-on experience for deploying our solutions in the cloud, they are an eye-opener. So would be glad to see as many of you that want to join as possible.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate you joining. Hope you have a terrific day.